As well as horror, I also really do enjoy thriller films, so I thought I would go through 10 today that are a little bit underrated. Some of these are horror adjacent, some of them do have some darker and disturbing themes to them as well, and some of them are just kind of mind-bending. So let's start off with one that is a little bit confusing but really good, and that is Black Bear. Alison travels to a remote lake house hosted by a friendly couple in hopes that she gains some inspiration for her filmmaking while she's there. During her stay, tension starts to build between the three of them, resulting in an uncomfortable, claustrophobic time filled with manipulation and jealousy. This is such a weird film. It's a psychological thriller with also dark comedy elements to it as well. It's been on my list for a while to talk about and recommend, but it's one that is quite hard to actually explain what it's about and to really talk about, because even now I feel like I'm still getting my head around it. I definitely need a second watch. It goes places that are just really unexpected, which is of course quite a pleasant surprise because it is so unique and interesting. The performances are incredible and so full of raw emotion. You can really feel every character's deep emotions and how much that they are just going through. I do really like films with Aubrey Plaza in that are like this. She's really good in these kind of twisty psychological films. There is actually another one on this list with her in it as well. And also Christopher Abbott was another standout for this film. He is also in another favourite film of mine called Possessor. Not on this list, but definitely one to check out if you haven't seen it. Black Bear is a film that pushes the limits and really goes outside of the box. It's incredibly well done and clever, a truly original film that is just something that I've never seen done before. It's an anxiety builder with some scenes that are really actually quite hard to watch, especially during conflict between the three main characters. It just kind of feels like something that you shouldn't watch. It just feels awkward. Next up is The Gift from 2015. A happily married couple, Robin and Simon, have just moved to a new town because it has better job opportunities and they just want somewhere that they can settle down so they can start to have a family. Whilst they're on a shopping trip one day, they bump into one of Simon's old classmates called Gordo. They exchange pleasantries and go their separate ways. That is until Gordo drops by the couple's house uninvited with a housewarming gift. Gordo then invites the couple over to his for dinner, which ends up being a bit of a weird situation, and Gordo seems to always be around, being overly nice and bringing lots of different gifts. I absolutely love this kind of awkward situation in films where someone comes into somebody's or a few people's lives and they just won't leave. It's kind of like a parasite situation. It reminds me of films like Saltburn and The Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's just very awkward and uncomfortable. It's one of those situations where you're trying to be polite and the other person just isn't understanding the cues of when to leave or stop, leading to frustrations and conversations that no one wants to have. I do have to say there are some darker and disturbing themes in this film. One scene in particular that really took me off guard and by surprise. I wish that one was done differently. The Gift was filmed in only 25 days and all of Gordo's scenes were completed in only 7 days, which is so impressive. This film doesn't have any crazy technical elements or stunts or anything, so I wasn't thinking that filming would be crazily long, but like at least a few months, not just only 25 days. Especially with how well put together this film is and how complex and interesting all of the characters are. Next is one that is definitely a thriller horror film. I have recommended this film once before in my Shudder video, in one of those anyway, and that's the film Midnight. In Midnight, we follow a relentless serial killer who targets and chases a deaf girl after she witnesses him go after another girl. This is a whole cat and mouse chase, and the serial killer is set on getting what he wants. This was a film that I wasn't 100% sure about the first time I watched it, because I did feel like some of the characters' decisions lacked a lot of common sense. There are a lot of chase scenes, and I do feel like this film does drag in areas, but it does also keep you hooked and just needing to know what's going to happen. The girl that the serial killer is after is deaf, and I do feel like some of the scenes where we feel a bit frustrated with some of the public not helping her out are like an exaggeration of how sometimes deaf people can feel, feeling so isolated in a crowd of people because people just don't have the patience to take the time to try to understand. There are definitely some far-fetched moments, a lot of over-exaggerating and plot holes. It's a really beautifully shot film, and I really do like the characters, especially the mother-daughter relationship, because the girl that the killer is after, she is also with her mum for some of the film. I do think it's really important to see deaf representation in films, especially as people with disabilities often aren't written as main characters. This film showed how hard it can be to know a language that nobody else knows. When the main character is trying to get help and struggling to communicate, she's using sign language, and other people just don't have a clue what she's saying, which is just so sad and relevant. There are so many times where people could have helped her out if they just had a little bit of patience to try to understand her. So I do think that's where some of these scenes that seem a bit over the top and seem like they have some plot holes, I feel like that is the reason why that it was done like that. It's definitely one that's worth checking out if you like a crime, cat and mouse chase situation, and definitely let it sit in your thoughts after you've watched it, because that made me like it a lot more. Next up is the film Searching, which is a kind of found footage style film because it's all done through a computer screen. So we're basically seeing everything that happens on the computer desktop. I absolutely love films that are done like this. It's really interesting and unique, although we do have quite a few films like it. I always get really excited when we get another one in this kind of subcategory. In Searching, we follow a father that is absolutely desperate to find his 16-year-old daughter who is missing. Detectives are on the case, but after a few days with no leads, the dad decides to go through his daughter's laptop and see if he can find some clues as to where she may be. I think this is super fun because it's almost like we're also doing the investigating alongside of him, kind of going through her laptop and finding out different clues and missing pieces to this puzzle. It does sound like quite a straightforward premise, but there are some interesting twists and turns in there and some really unexpected moments. And there is actually a second film as well, which brings me on to my next recommendation, which is Missing. This is an anthology sequel because we get to see all new characters and a new story, but it's kind of set in the same universe and done in a similar way. This time we follow a girl called June as she is searching for her mum who's gone missing whilst on vacation with a new partner. I really enjoyed watching all the characters in this film, and the story is just really interesting and it keeps you on the edge of your seat, just like the first one. Similar to Searching, this one builds anxiety throughout. We're doing the investigation alongside the characters and it builds up to a really impactful ending. I really would love to see more films in this series and I hope we get some more in the future. My next recommendation I would put in the game category, and that's the film Exam. 8 people have got to the last stage in their job application. This is for an absolute dream job in a really powerful corporation. In their last stage, they are put into an exam room and they have 80 minutes to complete this exam. But when they put their heads down to look at the paper in front of them, they realise that it's blank. This soon turns into a kind of escape room, puzzle room situation where they all end up coming together to try to figure out what the answer is and what they are supposed to write on this paper to get through. They kind of go through the whole room. It's a mystery that we're trying to figure out alongside them, and they can't leave this room because there is an armed guard at the door. This film is mostly only single location, and I really do like this kind of film. I find it really interesting where we've got like a group of people that have to work together to try to figure something out, but we also, as the audience member, feel like we're also trying to figure this out because we have no clue what the question is and where this film is going to go. It's quite a simple, stripped back film, but if you enjoy single location mystery thrillers, then definitely give this one a go. Next up is a film called Jewel from 2022. This is set in a dystopian reality where if you are terminally ill or know you're going to die, then you can have a clone come in to take your place, but they will come into your life before you're dead to get to know how you are, how you act, so they can mimic you in the best way possible. And the reason why people choose to do this and choose to get a clone of themselves is to make things a little less hard on their families once they've passed. So in this film, we do follow a terminally ill woman who decides to get a clone to make things easier on her friends and family when she inevitably passes. But if the person who gets a clone changes their mind, then they must duel to the death, and whoever survives becomes that person. This again is a really unique concept, something that I've never seen done before. It's kind of a bleak, dry comedy. It's not too long of a film, although I do wish it was a little bit longer because the ending does leave us wanting to know a little bit more. It's very much like something we would see in a Black Mirror episode. I would say this is a good one if you're a fan of The Lobster. Next is quite a hard-hitting one, and that is Promising Young Woman. This is a film that is fueled by revenge as we follow a young woman who is traumatized by something in her past and seeks out vengeance for those who are involved. She spends her spare time going to bars in the evenings, and when men try to take her home because they think she is so drunk, she surprises them when they are back at their place because she is stone cold sober and is just there to teach them a lesson. I really love revenge films like this. There is a part of this film that isn't my favourite, but I don't want to give too much away. But just bear in mind, things do get a little bit heavy here and there. Next up is a crime drama thriller called Memories of Murder. In this film, we follow two detectives set in the late 80s as they are on a mission to crack the case of a serial killer who is going round and murdering young women. This is another one that does have some heavy moments. It does also have some strangely comical moments that I don't think are meant to be comical, but it does kind of give a little bit of a charm to this film. There are moments where, for some reason, people fall over a lot or get drop kicked a lot. This film just shows how some detectives can be absolutely consumed by a case. They can become obsessed and it can just take over their whole life. It has a bleak tone that just comes in at the start and stays all the way till the end. My last recommendation is Ingrid Goes West. This is on a much more lighter note. This is really funny, really awkward at times as well. We follow a girl, Ingrid, who becomes absolutely obsessed with a influencer that she sees online. She wants to be just like her. She wants to be part of her world. So she sets up a plan to bump into her. When they bump into each other, they end up getting talking and become friends. Obviously, this influencer called Taylor thinks that this is all a natural friendship building, but it's not at all. It's one fueled by obsession. Taylor makes it look like she has the most perfect life online. She's always going to eat at the best places. Everything just looks so glamorous. It looks like she has no bad days, which in reality we know is completely false. So much of what we see on social media is just a highlight reel from people's lives, and it can put some people down, like Ingrid, and make them really want to have a life like one that Taylor has. This is a film that goes from 0 to 100. It has some really awkward moments. It makes you feel really uncomfortable just watching the things that Ingrid does, being so risky and being so close to being caught out so many times. It's kind of an inevitable film. We're just kind of on edge the whole time, waiting for something to happen. I would definitely say this is the most fun and entertaining film on this list. If you like films that surround obsession and films that also surround modern technology and social media, then this is a great one to watch. So that's the end of this list today. I really hope that you enjoyed some of my recommendations. If you would like additional videos, then you can always check out my Patreon. But as always, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again in another one very soon.